On the internet, all the doctors and trainers say that you need to get your lymph moving because stagnant lymph leads to various diseases. And yes, they're absolutely right, but very few actually explain how to do it properly. So, right now, we're going to get that lymph flowing together and cleanse our bodies of all the junk. Get like and do this exercise with me. Friends, let's move on to the exercises. The lymphatic system is a vast network of vessels that collects fluid from all over the body. In other words, the fluid that leaves the blood vessels and enters the tissues is then returned to the bloodstream through the lymphatic vessels. But if our diaphragms aren't working well, facial tension develops, and this lymph starts to stagnate in the tissues. And the first symptom is swelling. If you press your finger and you see dents or marks left behind, like from elastic bands, socks, or clothing, for example, that means your lymph is stagnating. Also, if your face swells or you get dark circles under your eyes. And it's very important for us, first of all, to adjust our breathing. That is, we have a large muscle in the center. It's the thoraco-abdominal diaphragm. If it's tense and you're not breathing correctly, then fluid from your legs and pelvis won't return properly. So, first of all, let's remember how to breathe correctly. Place your hands on your ribs and take a breath in. You need to breathe in such a way that your ribs expand outward. That is, not with the tops of your lungs, not by inflating your belly, but specifically by pushing your ribs out to the sides. Place your hands and take a deep breath so that your ribs move outward. Exhale and inhale. That is, the ribs move outward and rise upward. Have you remembered how to breathe? That is, simply breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, already stimulates lymphatic drainage. Now what shall we do? That is, take 3 more deep breaths. Take a breath. Exhale. Another deep breath. And exhale. And then take a breath. Exhale. If you start breathing correctly, you'll notice you even get a slight euphoria and maybe a little lightheadedness. And now we need to add some shaking. The thing is, it's already been proven that vibration techniques and these kinds of vibration jumps stimulate lymphatic flow and also help release tension from the facial wall, because a lot of tension builds up in the body. That's why shaking the body, meaning when you lightly start tapping your heel on the floor, lifting it just 1 to 2 centimeters, and then striking the floor with your heel, is important. The idea is to create a gentle shake.
You can also involve arms while doing this.
So you do this kind of shaking, just shaking your body, and then add in breathing, inhaling and exhaling. And on the exhale, release all the tension from your facial and lymphatic systems. So take a short breath in and then a sharp exhale together with striking your heels on the floor.
Let's try doing it together. So take a breath in.
You can do this up to 100 times. So keep shaking. You should feel your whole body starting to vibrate. Release all the tension. This already stimulates lymphatic flow. Do it at least 30 times, and you'll feel your body starting to vibrate, and you'll notice a light, vibration, and a sense of euphoria in your body. Now, let's move on and work with all the areas. What are we going to do? We keep doing the wave, but this time, instead of hitting our heels, we jump up toward our hands to create a clap. These claps stimulate the many lymphatic vessels located in our face, as well as in the scalp, at the back of the head, and in the neck. There are countless of them. And with these kinds of claps, we will be stimulating them. We'll start with the head. Where are the lymphatic vessels located in the head? The thing is, all the fluid in the face starts moving from the center to the periphery, flowing out like this and going here, under the ear, into these areas, and then down to the chin area. Here, at the back of the head. That's why, of course, we'll be stimulating the head as well. Yes. The bones of the skull. The vibration of the skull bones improves venous outflow from the skull and lymphatic drainage. First, we warm up our hands, right? And then we start doing these kinds of tapping motions so that the wave penetrates the tissue. And relax. Again, take a breath in and exhale. Always use diaphragmatic breathing. and breathe out all the tension. So let's tap on our head and move on to the forehead. A lot of tension builds up in the forehead, so here we tap the forehead. Next, we go here to the cheekbones. The area of the chewing muscles is especially effective. Cheekbones, face, lower jaw. And then we move on to the back of the head. So we start to gently tap on the back of the head like this. Right here, under the back of the head, are the occipital lymph nodes. That's why heaviness tends to build up here. So we tap here, and then from the back of the head, we start moving down the neck, along the sides of the neck. This is exactly where the lymph nodes are located, and they run right here, just under the sternocleidomastoid muscles. So, you can tilt your head slightly and do gentle tapping like this. This will stimulate all the lymph nodes and vessels from the head, helping all the fluid to drain. Do the same thing on the other side. Go along the entire side of the neck, right up to the sternocleidomastoid muscle. Next, here is the trapezius muscle, and in this area, a lot of tension also tends to build up. So, hold your elbow with one hand and start tapping. Cover the entire neck and shoulder area so that all the fluid and tension from this region starts to leave. Tap on one side, then grab the other arm, the elbow, and do the same thing. The body bounces, and don't forget diaphragmatic breathing. Take a deep breath in and out. Once you've finished this area, move on to the arm. Right here on the arm is where the lymphatic vessels are located. First and foremost, they are found right around the joints. This is the wrist joint, and we go especially along the inner surface. And we pay special attention to the elbow pit because there's a concentration of lymph nodes here. So we tap right in this pit like this. Gently tap it. See, it's even turned red. Blood flow increases. Next, move upward. We go, and right here is the armpit. There are a lot of lymphatic vessels here. So this is exactly where we tap. This will stimulate lymphatic drainage, helping to get rid of flabbiness in the arms so they look toned. That's why we work on this area on one side, and do the same on the other side. First, go along the outer surface, preferably at the wrist joint. Then move along the inner surface at the elbow crease. Here, tap the lymphatic vessels until you get a slight redness. Next, move through the armpit here. And here, start tapping because a lot of lymph nodes are concentrated in this area. If the breasts are heavy or sagging, all the lymph flows into the armpit. That's why you should work on the armpit area. This will also help maintain the health of the mammary glands. Once you've worked on this area, a very important area is the region of the first ribs and the collarbones. This is exactly where the lymph flows back into the circulatory system. It's very important to tap on these areas. What do? We simply take our hand and tap on the supraclavicular area, right here. After doing it on one side, you're stimulating the lymphatic flow back to the heart. And now on the other side. Good. Now we've stimulated the lymphatic drainage. Notice how your head, neck, and arms feel right now. You'll notice that you start to feel lighter. When you feel this lightness, it means your fascia is relaxing and the movement of fluid speeds up. The feeling of heaviness goes away. Now let's move on to the chest. The chest, see the ribs. There are countless vessels here. So what are we going to do? First, you tap on the sternum. Then, you tap on the ribs, and then we'll work with the diaphragm. So, start by gently tapping on your sternum with your fingers. The thing is, right in the area of the sternum, there's also a huge number of lymph nodes located just beneath it, and drainage from the heart and lungs happens through this area. Next, we move on and pat the chest, the ribs. Now take a deep breath in and tap on the diaphragm to stimulate lymphatic drainage through the diaphragm. So take a breath in and tap on the lower ribs. And exhale. Let go of all the tension. Now the sides of the ribs. Right here under the armpit, there are also lymph nodes and vessels. So just give a few slaps. Turn your torso a bit to the side and go over the area. Pay special attention to the liver area because congestion often occurs there. The liver is a filter. If you tap on the liver, you're actually stimulating. Venous outflow improves, and any blockages in the liver start to clear up. That's on one side. And on the other side, we have the spleen, which is essentially an immune organ connected to the lymphatic system. So it's important to tap on the left side as well. Especially in the area of the spleen, the lower ribs. Here's the liver, and here's the spleen. You need to activate this area too. Notice how your chest feels, and then move on to your abdomen. Here, we move in a clockwise direction. The entire intestine is also packed with these lymphatic vessels. And when your belly gets bloated, it's often lymph accumulating in the intestines. So how can we stimulate it? Just patting and moving in a clockwise direction. Like this. Relax your abdomen and let the impulse from your hands go deep through your whole belly. And notice how your abdomen feels. Now we move on to the pelvic organs. And here it's very important. How can we stimulate the lymphatic flow of the pelvic organs? Through the bones. First and foremost, you need to work with the pelvic bones. And here we also have the inguinal ligaments. The inguinal lymph nodes pass right through them. It's very important to stimulate these areas, specifically the groin areas. Just take your fingers and place them. Here are the crests of our iliac bones. And here is our pubic symphysis. And start tapping like this, rotating your pelvis. In other words, you're stimulating lymphatic drainage from the pelvis. You see, lymphatic congestion can also occur on the pelvic surface here, which can lead to the appearance of ears, fat deposits on the hips. So it's important to tap like this to activate the hip joints, eliminate stagnation in the gluteal area, and then we move on here. And here as well, we go over the kidneys, lower back, and the glutes. What do we do with the glutes? To eliminate stagnation in the pelvic floor and gluteal area, we start tapping the glutes like this, literally with our fists. Notice how much lighter your body feels now. In other words, it feels lighter and freer. And then you go over each leg. Just tap along each leg all the way down to the foot. Again, the knee joint area also plays a role. We just worked on the hip joint here. You can do more if you want. And now we start tapping the leg, working through it. The knee joint, the shin, the knee, the foot itself. Yes, so we can lift the leg and tap the foot as well. So, what we've done is worked through the accumulation of lymphatic fluid, where the lymph nodes are located. That's the groin, the knee, especially the area behind the knee and the ankle. We do the same thing here. The hip joint, the inside of the knee joint, the shin, and then the foot. And at the very end, you can also do this. Stimulate the knees a bit, and then take another breath in. Great. And now just find your balance. Find your center of gravity. Close your eyes for a moment. Listen to your body. Feel how it pleasantly vibrates, how warmth spreads through your body. So, imagine, right now we've relaxed the fascia and stimulated the outflow, invigorated our vascular and nervous systems. I believe this is one of the best practices, including for speeding up lymph flow, for eliminating stagnation and swelling, for helping the body cleanse itself of unnecessary waste products, and for bringing more freshness and energy. And if you want to rejuvenate your face and body, I invite you to join my program. The link is in the description. Friends, after this practice, please give your feedback and write in the comments how you like this practice. I think you'll enjoy it, and I'll definitely read your comments. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, be sure to subscribe and hit the like button, because every week I post useful new content. This was Dr. Alice with you, and see you next time.